everyone. I'm Brian Reynolds, the Chancellor with the Archdiocese of Louisville. Welcome to our podcast series, What's New in ArchLou. This show highlights the people and ministries of the Archdiocese of Louisville, the Catholic Church in Central Kentucky. Join us each month as we welcome new guests to learn about what's new in the Archdiocese, as we invite you to get more involved as you deepen your own faith and your engagement with the Church. This program is brought to you by the ArchLou Podcast Network. Folks, we've made it to December. So we survived Thanksgiving. We survived the football game. We won't talk about that right now, but we will say Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. I hope this month provides opportunities for you and your family, but also to keep our minds and heart on the true meaning of Christmas. Okay, now on to our topic. We, as always, have a wonderful show today. We're going to talk about the particular needs of special need young adults, and I'll explain what that is as we get into this. We have two guests. One is Laura Zoeller. Laura is a consultant for the adult faith formation and initiation in the Archdiocese. She works in the faith formation office, and one of her responsibilities in this role is working with organizations we call the faith clubs, and she'll tell you about that in just a couple minutes. These clubs, they're based in parishes, but also do some things together, serve young adults post-high school age with who has particular needs and nurtures their faith. Now, also joining us is Amanda Martin. She heads up what's called the Postgraduate program at Pitt Academy. She's a resource teacher there as well. Pitt Academy is a long-serving organization in the community for children with special learning needs, but recently they developed a program for those who got out of the traditional elementary and high school. They continue to serve them. So we're going to learn about the postgraduate program. So let me tell you a little bit more about them, and then we're going to have them introduce themselves. Laura is married to Greg, and they are about to celebrate their 40th anniversary. They have 3 adult children and 5 grandchildren. She's a member of St. William's Parish. Laura has worked at several Catholic schools and parishes in addition to working for archdiocesan agencies. Amanda is in her 9th year of both teaching and serving at Pitt Academy. She has undergraduate and graduate degrees from Bellarmine University. Initially, Pitt Academy hired Amanda as a reading teacher, and she later took on the role as director for the postgraduate program when they initiated and first launched that initiative. So, in addition to what I've said, let me start by welcoming both of you here. Glad you could be here.
Thank you.
It's a happy December. Let's have you share a little bit more about yourselves. I'm going to start with Amanda first. Tell us, I gave a little bio. You don't need your whole resume, but tell us a little bit more. Who is Amanda?
Yeah, you stole all the perfect words to describe everything. But yeah, like you said, I have an undergraduate and master's degree from Bellarmine University.
Go Knights.
Right, yeah. They're doing pretty good this season, so we'll just keep it going. But no, I, for some reason, decided that I was not only going to do my elementary education degree at Bellarmine. When you go there for your undergraduate, you also are dual certified in learning behavior disorders. But later in my career, I decided to go back as a professional and also get a master's in higher education leadership and social justice. So I went from kindergarten all the way up to the top.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good for you.
So, with that background and, during that time I was able to volunteer and also get hours for my certification at Pitt, which led me to following their mission. And luckily there was a position open when I graduated, and divine intervention put me in that pathway where we are today.
We like divine intervention. That's terrific. We'll talk a little bit later about Pitt Academy, named originally for Monsignor Pitt, and a long-serving education and clergyman of this diocese who's long gone to God. But the mission of that school is very important. We'll talk more about that. Laura, how about a little more about you?
I began my ministry in the Archdiocese of Indianapolis back in 1982, so you can do the math on that.
When you were 7 years old.
Yes. You're very kind. And I have been involved with the church in some form of ministry ever since then. On a personal level, I love to read, I love to travel, and I enjoy spending as much time with my family as possible.
Very good. Well, again, thanks both of you being here. For our listeners, this is an important show to examine an area that lots of people don't really see going on in the church, but it's integral to our mission. So I'm really happy to introduce this to you. So let's start first with Amanda. Let's talk about Pitt Academy is something that many people haven't heard of, as I said. Can you tell us a little bit about its history? And I believe there's a milestone about to happen there.
We are in our 75th year.
75 years.
Yes,
wow.
As it was founded by, like you said, Monsignor Felix Newton of Pitt and the Ursuline Sisters. When it was first founded, it was actually the Ursuline Pitt School. And that mission started out and has gone on for 75 years, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Diamond Jubilee. For 75 years.
I think that's right.
If not, we're going to call it that.
Good for today. We're going to call it that. Good. All right.
But yeah, so that mission honed in the very beginning, and for those who don't know a lot about Monsignor Felix Newton Pitt, he didn't really found Catholic education, but he was an important part of specifically through elementary and also serving those with special needs and developing what it looks like today. So that history has flourished from then for all these many years of serving a safe, nurturing environment for our students.
Thousands of kids have gone through that program over the years since he began. He was superintendent of schools, but he knew if the church is going to serve young people, it should try to serve all young people.
Yes, a very inclusive environment for all.
That's terrific. Okay, Laura, tell us, what is a faith club?
Well, our faith clubs began actually with a lady named Janie Lurison back in 1978 at St. Edward Parish. And Janie actually worked at Pitt Academy when it was Ursuline Pitt. And she, I think, wanted to have more of a connection with the parish for her son. And so she began Faith Club. And as the years went by, the faith clubs spread to other parishes wanting to start up their own faith club. So what we have is groups at several different parishes in the Archdiocese. They have 2 leaders, and the leaders go through background checks, safe environment training, everything to keep everyone safe. They have a monthly meeting at the parish. They spend half the time in prayer and reflection and talking about the Sunday readings, whatever the leaders want to share, have them share for that month. And then we have some social time. And right now our clubs are at Ascension Parish, the Flagey Retreat Center, Our Lady of Lourdes, and Ascension. So they stay very busy. And then we have our large group events a few times a year where everyone comes together for our Christmas party, Lenten retreat, and our summer pool party.
Very good. Both of you are long serving in this work, and I'm always curious when we have guests here to ask them, why do you do this work? What got you into it? I know that could be a long conversation, but I really am interested. So perhaps each of you could tell us a little bit about why did you get into this kind of work? And Laura, why don't you go first on this one? Why did you get into this?
Well, growing up, I grew up on a farm, and my aunt and uncle and cousins lived next door, and their oldest daughter, Teresa, was mentally handicapped, how we referred to it back in those days. And she was only a few years younger than me. But I learned about Teresa, and I learned from Teresa, and saw how she struggled to be able to share her gifts and talents, and just to be seen as a person who was different from others. So that was always a part of my life growing up. And then as I started ministering in different parishes and schools, I always had a soft spot for those kids who were on the autistic spectrum or had other kinds of disabilities. So I did work with a lot of different youth and adults in the parishes before I ever came into this position with the Archdiocese a little over a year ago. So it's just basically kind of who I am.
Okay. Now, Amanda, you talk about a lot the your history of going through the formation education at Bellarmine, and then you had some experiences with Pitt, and then you became part of the staff. But of all the things you could have done, why this?
Yeah. How much time do you have? I will admit, when I first went into the field of education, as my early years, which seem a long time ago back in college, the idea that I had was not to be in special education. It was actually to be in a general classroom setting. And once you step into the doors of Pitt Academy and you work with those students, there is something that draws you back, whether it be the mission or the students themselves, the community. Going back and volunteering after I did hours towards my certification, I think says a lot, and just coming back every year to participate. And, like I said, luckily there was a position open, and enjoying every moment with our students. And I'm sure Laura can commit to that, is the idea that, these students and young adults, they live life to the fullest.
Yes.
They have joy every day. So you come into work with a smile and you leave with a smile. And I don't think anybody could want anything better in a career.
Both of you speak so quickly about the young people themselves, so let's talk about them a little bit. What particular needs do they have? We all have needs, and thank goodness none of us are perfect. That gives us a lot of permission to be normal people, and everybody has special. What's the uniqueness about this particular young people you serve? You could both share about that if you would. Want to start out, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if we talk about Pitt Academy students in particular, we are a K through 12 and postgraduate school that serves individuals with learning differences and special needs. And that's an array of disabilities that are diagnosed, from everything from, ADHD and dyslexia to individuals on the autism spectrum and Down syndrome, and also some random ones in there that, many people might not know about. So, when we look at, accommodations and modifications for those students in that special need that they, not require, but can help them succeed, it really comes down to, in all educational settings, they are able to succeed to some level. But a lot of our students might not have the, not really the best, but, just the success within a typical classroom setting. Just due to the number of students in those classrooms. So giving them this individualized instruction to help them become the independent individuals in our society is really what we focus on.
Yeah. The postgraduate program is relatively new. Can you help us learn more about that first?
Yeah, we are actually in our 7th year of the program. Fresh still when we look at the history of every
75 years, but these last
7. Yeah.
Good.
So our program serves 18 to 24-year-olds.
Okay.
And just to kind of get background on that, our students are able to go to school until they're 21. So, if you graduate at 21, you have that extended time still within the program to go forward. And, again, we serve individuals with learning differences and special needs as well, encompassing that mission umbrella of Pitt Academy. And within that program, we are focusing, again, on helping our students become independent, contributing members of society. What we tell families is, they enter into the program at one level of independence and leave, hopefully, with a higher. We all have different independence levels. Yours might be higher in one area than mine, and mine in another. So we are very student-centered. The students actually helped design the program and what it looks like today, and the model of it changes every year based on our enrollment and what the students' needs are.
So independence, say a little more. Independent in what way? You said there's lots of ways. I get that, but what does can you break that open a little more for us?
Yeah, so our curriculum is broken down into 4 pillars of instruction. That includes functional academics, which is reading, writing, math, and communication skills.
Okay.
Independent living instruction, and that's your, our life skills that many of us take for granted. And that can be anything from hygiene to cooking to cleaning, emergency and safety situations to take on. Also community engagement and our employment vocational training. So across that large curriculum span, we're able to hone in on what our students' independence might look like and what their needs are. And everyone's pathways are different. Some are going to look into even taking college classes afterwards, and some look into a job employment.
Wow. So you're taking care of the academics, but so much more than of your life skills and so forth. That's great.
Yeah. And at Pitt, our life skills program actually starts at kindergarten and goes all the way through our postgraduate program as well.
Wow. Laura, tell me about faith clubs a little bit more. First, but you got into this, as you said, out of your other ministries, youth ministry, faith formation, catechetics, those kinds of things. But now this particular group that you talked about your cousin, I appreciate that. But faith clubs is a particular unique activity because it's a group in a parish. There may be a small percentage of the young people who might need or desire this program, and they got to find each other. So tell me about the Faith Club idea. How does that actually work?
Well, we have a minimum age of 18, and our members go all the way up to people in their 70s. So we cover a wide variety of adults in our Faith Club. Some of our members have been members for over 30 years, and it's another family to them, based in faith, which is beautiful. And the parishes that host will also take members from other parishes because, as you say, it is a minority population. So we have people that, of course, are, like I said before, on the autism spectrum, Down syndrome, but we also have people that are paraplegic, blind, have difficulties hearing. And when they are in Faith Club, not only do they have this community that they can relate to and mix with, we also advocate for them and help them to become more involved in their individual parishes. So if they are wanting to serve at Mass and they are able to do that, we ask the parishes to work with them to enable them to be able to serve at Mass, and some of our members do that. Of course, many of them like to take up the gifts. We have one gentleman who is blind, but he plays the organ beautifully, and so he plays at Mass at times. So we also put some of the responsibility back on the parishes to be open and welcoming to those members so they can be part of their individual parish communities as well.
Across all church denominations, a big topic always is what's called young adults. And sometimes people define young adults 18, and the number keeps getting up there. 18 to the 30s is common, what they talk about, but some of us who are closer to 70 like to think of themselves as a young adult. But anyway, I'm always interested in the spirituality of young adults, and I'm thinking now the younger side of that, the 18 to 30-year-old, roughly, but there's, and both of you serve that group. I'm curious about, what do you notice about this age group and faith and prayer and religion? What do you notice? Amanda?
Yeah, I think it comes down into this holistic approach with Catholicism in general. We live in a world that has ups and downs and challenges and obstacles for everybody, typical and atypical. And I think what I've seen a lot in our young students, we really hone in on the idea about community engagement and knowing about what's going on in your world. And they take that, spirituality and practices within the Catholic faith to not only, pray, obviously for their friends and family in the community, but also to give back to it as well. And I think that's an important part of what we do in all of the archdiocese.
So prayer, but then service or giving back is part of that's, and we do that for all. So it's what we do for all. Yes. Any unique example? I'm going to get a chance to think about it while I go to Laura with it. You could tell us about where you noticed a young person encountering their faith in the work you do. But let's go to Laura first. What do you talk about faith life of young adults? This special need group.
Okay. It's very similar to all the other young adults. Sometimes I have both, it doesn't matter what categories they fall into. They sometimes ask me, when are we going to stop talking and start doing? And so they are very passionate about going out and doing things for others, as Amanda said. They love doing things like one of our groups has a yearly at one of their meetings, they put together supplies for Little Sisters of the Poor. Another group goes out and does road cleanup. There are a variety of outreaches that we do. And then this year for our Lenten retreat, we are making scarves to donate to St. John Center for our homeless population. And that was something they were very excited about doing. Yeah. So we are always looking for ways that they can give back. As similar to what Amanda said, they love that. They love looking at the teachings of Jesus, and then how are we going to be more like Jesus? So they really show us more about who God is, I think.
Now we're in December, and I know because I've been there, not for a couple of years, but I've been twice over my time working here at the Faith Club Christmas Party.
Yes.
Tell us about the Faith Club Christmas Party.
That is a big event for us every year. We have a meal for them, and then we have some sort of teaching at the beginning of the party. This year, the teaching is having a reading of the Nativity story, and we are going to create a live nativity scene with costumes and what have you with some of our members. And then each of them will get a nativity puzzle to take home. That's the nativity scene they can set up for themselves at home. And then we spend the rest of the time dancing and socializing and just having a great time, and everyone just loves it.
Yeah. As with many young adults, it's the party atmosphere that makes it particularly energizing. But there were some great dancers there. Okay, I set you up both, and you can think about it too while I go back to Amanda. Amanda, can you give us an example of a time a young person that you served with encountered their faith that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's interesting that Laura talked about, helping the homeless in our community, because that was the example I had thought of. In our pioneer class that consisted of only 3 students, from there until now, we've actually partnered with Franciscan Kitchen.
Okay.
It's one of our places that our students go and work on on-site job skills there every month, but also we do a service project every spring. We create blessing bags. So we create not only bags full of food and snacks for the homeless community, but also with personal hygiene items as well. So our students go out and purchase the items or do a fundraiser for the items, put the bags together, organize them, and deliver them. And after doing that service project for the first year, I had an individual in the Pioneer class that it pulls at your heartstrings. Afterwards we were out in the community, and he saw an individual, on the street, who was looking for opportunities and so forth. And he asked, out of the kindness of his heart, if he could go into the restaurant next to us and go buy him a meal. So it was heartwarming and touching. Yeah. And of course, he went to use his own funds, and that just shows, this service within our community really makes a difference and on his heart and his impact in life.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Laura, anything else you can tell us about somebodies? Yeah.
I think for me, what always strikes me is when one of our members have one of their parents pass away, and their faith that comes to them. Not only does the community gather around them and they draw strength from that with the Faith Club community and their parish community, but they will often tell me, I know they're in heaven now, and I will see them again when it's my turn to die. And it's just very matter of fact, when I die, I'm going to be with Jesus and my loved ones again. And that is so powerful to me.
Oh, that's wonderful stories. I know that in much of what we do in ministry, we focus on the person, but we always focus on the context they're in. So I know both of your programs do some work with the families of these young people as well. And again, I know that Faith Clubs goes older too, but I'm focusing on this group. How do you connect? How do you engage and serve the families? Because the young people live in the context of a household. They're not just individuals. They're part of a larger group. Either one of you want to tell us about families?
Yeah, I can speak on
Sure.
it first. As I said, this is a very student-centered program. We work on their goals and making sure that they are advocating for themselves the whole time they're in the program and after, through life. But this is also a time for transition for families as well. And, that's for typical and atypical individuals. Your student or your child, graduates high school, and it's a big moment, and saying they're going off to college or the real world, and we are encouraging them in all ways. But our families are really involved in it as well. So we do things called vision meetings, both with our students and our families, every few months within the program, talking about the students' progress and, hopefully not regression, but if that does occur, talking about that as well. And then just the future goals. So our families are intertwined in the curriculum as well, and supporting them every step of the way, whether that's looking at future career options and helping them find that, looking for residential spaces, and just supporting them, also with what's occurring at home, and encouraging our students to be respectful, professional young adults in everything they do.
That's terrific. You work with families as well, I think?
Yes. For us, I would say the main way that we can support our families is many times they have questions about reception of sacraments.
Okay.
And so, helping them to understand that a person does not need a master's in theology to be able to participate in the sacraments, for Eucharist, if they understand that this isn't regular food, this is Jesus. Just helping them to be able to adapt that for their loved one. They are so appreciative. And the young people, we can talk about many things at the meetings, but one thing I've noticed is when a leader asks, so what do you remember about your first communion? They remember what they were wearing the first time they received Jesus. They just remember that. It's so impactful for them. Their confirmation. I remember my sponsor, and I remember them putting their hand on my shoulder. And, it's just really powerful to them to be able to grow in their faith, to live sacramentally. It means a lot to them. So we really try to support that.
I have so many things on my mind. There's a most often used line, maybe too often used, said talks about our best kept secrets. The work being done by Pitt Academy and by the faith clubs, it's one of the secrets going on in the church. That's why I wanted you to come on the show, because it's a blessing, not just because these young people are special. We're all special, but they do need some unique programming. So I want to know about, how do you get involved in this? So this is a time for a little bit of advertising, if I can. So, Laura, how does someone get involved in a faith club if they're not, or they have a family member, or if I was a church and I want to say, how can I start my own faith club? What do you do? How do you do this?
All they have to do is call our Office of Faith Formation. It's on our ArchLou webpage. The number is there. The email is there. Send us a notice, and we'll send you the registration packet for your loved one. If you want to get involved as a leader, we have the materials for that. And like I said before, you would go through a background check and safe environment training, and we would help you start with that. If a parish is wanting to set up a group, again, contact us and we can lead you through that in starting a group at your parish. So the Office of Faith Formation, contact us and we can help you in everything with that.
That's terrific. Same with Pitt. Now, as I said, you shared, Amanda, Pitt is 75 years old. This particular ministry of the many things Pitt has done over the years is 7 years old. So for our audience, how do they get involved with Pitt? Again, if they know of a family member, there's lots of Catholic families who may not even know Pitt exists.
Yeah.
What kind of support you need?
Yeah, so I think, the number one thing that, if you're part of the Archdiocese and, within your parishes or any community aspect is advocacy for these families. Like you said, they might not know about Pitt or our postgraduate program. So if you know a family or a student or an individual who might benefit, to give more information, to educate them on what we do and send them our way. Like Laura said, it all starts with a conversation. And going from there about what opportunities there are, whether it be through enrollment or providing, a network into the special needs community in Louisville and providing them with those programs. But also I think overall, if we look at fostering a community of engagement and participation and partnership with one another. So if you are an individual or a group who, have the feeling in your heart, to give to Pitt Academy, whether that be through donations or time, or becoming a community partner with us that gives, participation for our students to on-site job training, both in our high school and our postgraduate program, or to come in and partner with the school in events or, overall. I think those are huge ways that we can help support at Pitt. Yeah,
both your ministries could always use more volunteers and funding. It's always how this all works. But I've been on campus with Pitt a couple of times. I've been to a couple of faith club events. I can advocate for it really clearly. I see it very clearly of the good works that you do. So last question I got for you. What is something that those of us who are more naive about these things, is there anything particular you want us to know about this conversation we've just had about these young people, the unique things they are, and also, as we learned today, the normalcy of them? What should we know? What lessons should I carry into our listeners carry from today? Anybody?
I appreciate Pope Francis always speaking out about our adults with disabilities, our children with disabilities, and being inclusive of them, no matter what it is we're doing in the parishes or the Archdiocese. I think, making sure that our buildings are handicap accessible and also welcoming both. Every December 3rd, we have our International Day for Persons with Disabilities, and Pope Francis always has something important to say on that date. So I really appreciate how our universal church wraps itself around these people that are among our more fragile members and really embraces them and wants them to be included in our communities.
Wonderful. Amanda?
Yeah, I think that's such a large question, right? Because there's so many things we could say to that. I think in overall what we've talked about today is really, like you said, the normalcy, in the world with this, and an inclusive environment that grows, constantly. We are becoming more educated as individuals in the world, and as Laura said about accessibility within buildings as well. Our students are doing great things. They are succeeding in taking over this world. That might frighten some people. We talk about these young adults, like you said, from 18 to age 30, but they are doing really amazing things and great things. And with that, and all-encompassing and talking about this holistic approach as individuals, when we're out in the community, a lot of people want to come to the staff and talk to us about our students and asking these questions. And it's an opportunity for us and our students to educate the world and say, you can talk to them.
Go talk to them.
They can answer these questions. They might talk your ear off, but they can answer them.
Well, the reason they may take over the world is because of the good work you two are doing. So I thank you, Laura, and you, Amanda, for the ministry you provide to our special members of our community who deserve, and through you, get some great attention and support. I hope their faith continues to be enriched by the work that you do. As part of the larger Archdiocese, I want to thank both of you and your ministries, your organizations, for contributing to the making faith alive within this community. And I thank you, our listeners. This is our last show of 2024. We'll be back next year in January with our January show. Have a blessed Christmas. Thanks for being with us. Talk to you again next month.